The first time my sister-in-law called me a predator, it wasn't to my face. She posted it on Facebook for everyone in our town to see. I remember staring at the screen in disbelief. Dangerous around children. That's what she wrote about me. My stomach turned because she knew exactly what she was doing, smearing me, making me out to be some kind of monster. And all of this because I gave my niece a tattoo on her 18th birthday. Legal. Signed consent forms. She was smiling ear to ear when she left my shop. But my sister-in-law, Denise, didn't care about facts. She cared about control. I've been a tattoo artist for almost 20 years. My whole body is covered in ink, full sleeves, chest piece, back. I always knew my brother, Adam, looked at me like I was trash for it. The black sheep of the family. But Denise? She never even tried to hide her disgust. She was one of those women who could cut you down with a single sentence. I once heard her tell her own kid that her Mother's Day drawing was sloppy. She once told me she'd rather die than have a family member look like me. So when her daughter, my niece, Lily, walked into my shop in Denver on her 18th birthday, I knew I was playing with fire. Lily wasn't some rebellious kid trying to stir up drama. She came in with a simple request, a small heart on her tricep with the date her best friend died. Meaningful. Personal. She sat through the session bravely, smiling through tears when I wiped the stencil away to reveal the final piece. I tried not to charge her, but she insisted, sliding $120 onto my counter with shaking hands. I hugged her, told her I was proud of her, and thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 30 minutes later, my phone lit up. Denise's name. I barely got a hello out before her voice cracked through the speaker, so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "You infected her," she screamed. "She's marked for life because you couldn't say no." I tried to explain, Lily was 18, she signed the forms, it was all legal, but Denise cut me off with venom in her voice. "She's not an adult. She's just a little girl who can't see the bigger picture. And as her mother, I know what's best for her." Then she hung up. Within the hour, our family group chat lit up like wildfire. "My mom, I'm ashamed of you." "Adam, I agree. You crossed a line." And then Denise herself chimed in, repeating that Lily wasn't old enough to make decisions that serious. I stared at the screen for a long time before leaving the group chat. That Sunday was family dinner at my mom's house, the one event where everyone was expected to show up no matter what. I walked up the porch steps rehearsing how I defend myself. But I didn't even make it past the front door. Denise blocked me with her arms crossed, her eyes blazing. "Absolutely not," she snapped. "You are not welcome here until you remove her tattoo." I tried to explain, removal wasn't even something tattoo artists do, but she only got louder. "Then you'll pay for it," she shrieked, loud enough that neighbors could hear. Behind her, Lily stood frozen in the hallway. Embarrassment written all over her face. "Mom," she said softly, "that tattoo is for Emma. It means a lot." Denise's face twisted. Emma would be ashamed of it. I started to speak up, but before I could, Denise slammed the door in my face. That night, I texted Lily, but the message bubble turned green. Blocked. Denise had taken her phone. I knew then, this wasn't just about tattoos. Denise needed control. And she would scorch the earth to get it. I still remember the weight in my chest as I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of my half-empty apartment. My lease was ending in 3 weeks. I was planning to move across the country, maybe start fresh. But Lily? She was stuck here, trapped under her mother's thumb. And whether Denise liked it or not, I couldn't just leave her behind. And as I'd soon learn, standing up for Lily was going to cost me everything. But that wasn't the worst of it, not even close. The next morning, I couldn't shake the image of Lily's face, pale, embarrassed, standing behind her mother while Denise screamed at me like I was some criminal. I thought maybe things would cool down. Maybe Adam would talk some sense into his wife. But I should have known better. By noon, my phone buzzed with notifications. Denise had gone nuclear. She posted on Facebook that I was dangerous around children. That I tattooed minors without consent. She tagged my shop. She even shared it in our extended family group. Within an hour, my business, my life's work, was in flames. When people Googled my shop, the first thing that popped up wasn't my reviews or my art portfolio. It was her post. Tattoo artist accused of harming kids. By evening, I'd lost half my week's appointments. Cancellations rolled in like dominoes. My chest hurt just watching years of reputation collapse with one lie. And Denise wasn't done. She called our state licensing board, claiming I tattooed minors illegally. She wanted my license revoked. She told my great-aunt I shouldn't be invited to our grandmother's 100th birthday party, and sure enough, I got the uninvite text later that week. All because Lily wanted a tattoo. 2 weeks after the Facebook bomb, Lily came back into my shop. Her hair was tucked under a hoodie, her sleeves pulled down even though it was 85 degrees in Denver. She was shaking. "Uncle," she whispered, "I hate life at home." I closed the blinds and locked the door. She fell into my arms like a kid, not a legal adult, not a rebellious teenager, just a scared girl desperate for some kind of anchor. We sat in the back of my shop, surrounded by sketches and ink bottles, when she pulled out a folded piece of paper. A design she'd been working on for years. It was a shark, sleek and bold, swimming up her forearm. "This is me," she said, her voice trembling. "I love the ocean. Jaws is my favorite movie. And Mom's been making me cover up the heart tattoo every single day. She even pulled me out of the swim team because someone might see it." She looked at me, her eyes red from crying. "She already disowns me every time she looks at me. I need at least one person in this family to support me." I hesitated. I could already hear Denise's voice screaming in my head. But then I looked at Lily, and I thought, she's already trapped. She doesn't need another adult telling her what she can't do. I smirked. "You know what? Your mom is one ocean-sized idiot." Her laugh came out sharp, almost broken, but it was the first real smile I'd seen on her in months. 3 hours later, she walked out of my shop with a brand new tattoo. Bold, defiant, beautiful. For a while, she tried to hide it, hoodies, sweatshirts, long sleeves. But the secret was eating her alive, and she couldn't help laughing about it in our secret emails. "I'm terrified," she wrote once. "But I kinda can't wait to see how much she flips out." It didn't take long. One afternoon, Lily was changing when Denise barged into her room with a stack of articles she'd printed about tattoo infections. She was halfway through her rant when she saw the shark tattoo. Lily told me later that her mom's face twisted into something inhuman, a mix of rage, panic, betrayal, confusion. She grabbed Lily's arm so hard she nearly left bruises and actually tried to slap her. Lily yanked her arm away and, instead of crying, smirked. "Relax, Mom," she said. "Uncle and I already booked a full sleeve for next week." That broke Denise. She dropped to her knees, crying, not from sadness, but from fury. Within minutes, she was canceling her date night with Adam, grabbing her car keys, and driving like a maniac. Straight to my shop. I was sanitizing my equipment when I heard tires screech outside. Denise's black SUV jumped the curb and slammed into my parking lot. The door flew open, and she stormed toward my shop, phone in hand, recording everything. Even from 20 feet away, I could see her face was beet red, twisted with rage. She screamed at 2 strangers walking by. "Call the police. He's a predator. He tattoos children." The couple bolted. Inside, I had 2 customers looking through my portfolio. One of them froze, grabbed her bag, and sprinted out the door. I managed to lock it just as Denise's fist started hammering the glass. She was live streaming on Facebook, shrieking that I'd tattooed her child again. She tried to shove her hand through the mail slot and got it stuck for a second. I grabbed Lily's signed consent forms, pressed them against the glass so her viewers could see the date and her ID copy. Denise screamed louder. It was chaos. People on the street stopped to watch. One of my customers pulled out his phone and started recording her meltdown. And that's when the patrol car pulled up. Officer Martinez stepped out, calm but wary. Denise bolted toward him, sobbing, pointing at me. "He's grooming my daughter. He's a predator." Martinez asked for my license, my paperwork. I slid everything under the crack in the door, including time-stamped footage of Lily walking in, alone, smiling, legal ID in hand. Everything was clean. Denise's voice cracked as she tried to argue, but Martinez warned her, "One more false report, and we're looking at harassment charges." She stormed off, her live stream still running. But before leaving, she screamed, "I'm calling my lawyer. This isn't over." And deep down, I knew she meant it. That night, my mom called me. For the first time, she didn't defend Denise. "I saw the videos," she whispered. "She looks unhinged." For a moment, I felt hope. Maybe the tide was turning. But then Mom's voice went cold again. "You need to stop tattooing Lily. Things are getting out of control." I hung up. My hands were still shaking when I locked up the shop that night. The next morning, a man in a suit served me with papers. Denise wasn't just screaming anymore. She was suing me. When the process server left, I just stood there holding the thick envelope like it was a live grenade. Inside were words that could destroy me, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Denise wanted 50 grand in damages. She wanted a restraining order. And if it stuck, I wouldn't even be allowed within 500 feet of Lily. My hand shook as I flipped through page after page of legal jargon, each one making my chest tighter. I called my lawyer, a guy named Steven I'd used once before when a drunk customer tried to sue me. His voice was calm, but his words weren't comforting. "Temporary restraining order hearing is tomorrow. Judge could grant it right away. If that happens, you can't talk to Lily at all." "She's 18, I said, my voice cracking. "Doesn't matter," Steven replied. "Judges tend to err on the side of caution. You need to be ready for the worst." The worst. That night, I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by piles of paperwork, every consent form Lily had signed, copies of her ID, text messages between us, character references from clients. Each one felt like a paper-thin shield against Denise's rage. And then my phone buzzed. It was Derek, my buddy who ran the tattoo removal shop down the street. He'd pulled his security footage from the day Denise showed up at my shop. "Thought you might want this," his text read. Attached was a grainy video clip. I hit play. Before Denise even stormed inside, she walked past my car and dragged her keys across the paint. A long, deliberate scratch from headlight to taillight. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. She wasn't just trying to ruin me online. She wanted to bleed me dry, piece by piece. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse alone except for Steven. My palms were sweaty. My throat felt dry. Across the aisle, Denise sat surrounded by 3 lawyers. She wore a grey suit, pearls, hair pulled back in a bun. She looked like the picture-perfect suburban mom. The judge looked at her first. Her lawyers paraded evidence, screenshots of my tattoos, family texts taken out of context, and then, some so-called expert. A cult deprogrammer, of all things. He actually sat there and testified that tattoo artists sometimes mark vulnerable youth for trafficking. I felt my stomach twist. In the gallery, I heard gasps. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Steven jumped up to object, but the damage was already done. People were staring at me like I was dirt. When it was our turn, Steven showed the footage Derek had sent me. Clear as day, Denise keying my car. Her face visible, her purse swinging on her shoulder. Denise shook her head, smiling faintly, and said it was a deep fake. She demanded forensic analysis. The judge sighed and granted a 2-week continuance, but in the meantime, he approved the temporary restraining order. Which meant one thing: I couldn't even text Lily. Walking out of that courtroom, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. But I was wrong. Because waiting in the parking lot was Adam, leaning against his car, cigarette trembling between his fingers. "I don't know how much longer I can take this," he muttered. His voice was low, almost broken. "She hired a private investigator. He's following you. Document everything, man. She's looking for any excuse to bury you." I stared at him. My brother. The golden child who'd always looked down on me. And for the first time in years, I saw fear in his eyes. That night, I went back to my empty shop. 3 new 1-star reviews had already popped up, all claiming I tattooed kids illegally. My afternoon clients cancelled. When Derek came by with coffee, I broke down. My hands were trembling as I tried to sweep up the shop. He offered to write a statement, said the whole town was watching Denise unravel. But late that night, my mom called me in whispers. She came by, Mom said. Asked if I'd seen Lily. She mentioned putting up a $5,000 reward for information. A chill went down my spine. Denise wasn't just smearing me. She was hunting her own daughter like she was a runaway criminal. The next morning, a news van parked outside my shop. Reporters were setting up cameras. I didn't have to ask who sent them. Denise had given an interview, painting me as a predatory tattooist exploiting children. Stephen called me almost immediately, "Say nothing. Silence is safer." But silence didn't feel like safety. Silence looked like guilt. That night, as I was closing up, I heard the sharp crack of glass shattering. A brick sailed through my front window, landing at my feet with a note taped to it. 2 words in dripping red paint. Child predator. I sprinted outside, but whoever did it was gone. My security cameras? Blacked out, spray painted over. I stood in the wreckage, chest pounding, glass crunching under my boots. For the first time, I thought, maybe she'll actually win. Maybe Denise will destroy me. Then, just past midnight, I got an email from an unfamiliar address. It was Lily. She'd borrowed my mom's computer. "I'm filing a restraining order against her tomorrow," she wrote. "Mom's been recording her calls. We have proof. I'm done hiding." I read it twice, my vision blurry with exhaustion. Relief mixed with terror. Because if Denise lost control of Lily completely, God only knew what she'd do next. And I thought I'd already seen her worst. I hadn't. The next morning, I parked across the street from the Denver courthouse. The restraining order meant I couldn't even walk Lily inside. So I sat in my car, clutching a coffee I couldn't drink, watching the glass doors like my life depended on it. 10 minutes later, I saw her. Lily. Hair in a ponytail, folder clutched to her chest like a shield. She looked so small walking up those courthouse steps alone, but her shoulders were squared, her jaw set. And then I saw Denise. She arrived with 2 lawyers, heels clacking like gunshots on the pavement. The moment she spotted Lily, she lunged, shouting, "She's been brainwashed. She's not in her right mind." Security guards intercepted her mid-swing, holding her back as Lily's eyes widened. Inside, the clerk at the filing desk hurried Lily through paperwork while Denise kept screaming about mental incompetence and family rights. Her lawyers tried to argue, but the clerk shut them down cold. "She's 18. She has every right to file. Please step back." It should have ended there, but Denise wasn't built to lose quietly. 3 days later, my mom called me, voice shaking. Denise showed up with 2 police officers, she whispered. "She's demanding to search my house for Lily." In the background, I could hear her shrieking, "He kidnapped her. He's hiding her." By the time Officer Martinez arrived, the front yard was a circus, squad cars, neighbors watching from porches, my mom pale and trembling on the steps. Martinez cut through the chaos with his steady voice. Filing false reports is a crime. Your daughter is an adult. But Denise wouldn't quit. She insisted Lily was mentally incompetent, that the mother knows best. And then the front door opened. Lily stepped outside, phone in hand, recording everything. She looked her mom dead in the eye and said, "I want to file harassment charges." She held up her phone screen, showing hundreds of texts, "Stupid, worthless, you'll end up in a hospital if I have to send you there." I watched Martinez's jaw tighten as he scrolled. Denise tried to grab the phone, but he pulled back and told her point blank. These texts could qualify as criminal harassment. For the first time in months, Denise's face went pale. Then red. Then back to white again as she screamed that Lily was lying, that the texts were taken out of context. And that's when Adam's car pulled up. He stepped out, took one look at the police cruisers, at Denise raging in the driveway, at Lily standing firm with her phone, and I swear, his shoulders sagged like 20 years of denial had finally collapsed. Denise ran to him, clawing at his arm. Tell them she's been poisoned against me. Tell them." Adam just shook her off. For the first time in 2 decades of marriage, he didn't stand beside her. He stood between her and his daughter. "Enough," he said, his voice breaking. "You're destroying this family. This has to stop." I'll never forget the look on Denise's face. Like the ground had opened beneath her. Like the one thing she thought she controlled, her husband, had slipped out of her grasp. She screamed at him, called him a traitor, called Lily things I won't repeat here. Martinez had to warn her to watch her language in front of officers. Denise's final words before storming off to her SUV still echo in my head. "I'll get the best divorce lawyer in Denver. You'll regret this." And then she peeled out of the driveway, tires squealing. That night, we gathered in my mom's kitchen, me, Adam, Lily, and Adam's younger son, Tyler. For the first time in years, Denise wasn't there. The air felt strange, heavy but also lighter somehow. Adam apologized over and over. He admitted he'd let Denise control everything, from what the kids wore to who they could talk to. He said he thought silence was safer. That he'd failed his children. Lily just stared at him. "You stood up today. That's all that matters." Mom sat quietly, tears in her eyes. She whispered, I let her voice be louder than my own judgment. But just as we started to breathe again, the phone rang. It was my landlord. His voice was uneasy. "Your sister-in-law offered me double your rent if I evict you. And she's been calling your suppliers too, telling them you're selling drugs out of your shop." I sat there in silence, the kitchen spinning around me. Just when I thought Denise was cornered, she'd found another way to strike. And deep down, I knew, this war wasn't even close to over. Because Denise wasn't fighting for Lily anymore. She was fighting for control. And she'd rather burn the whole family to the ground than give it up. 3 months later, we were back in the Denver courthouse. This time, it wasn't just about a restraining order. It was the full hearing. My lawyer, Stephen, told me this was the day everything would either collapse or finally turn in our favor. The courtroom was packed. Denise had stacked the gallery with women from her church group, whispering prayers and glaring at me like I was the devil. Lily sat a few rows back, clutching her sketchbook, her hands trembling but her eyes clear. Adam and Tyler were beside her. When the judge called the case, Denise's lawyer launched into their argument. They painted me as some manipulative predator who exploited a grieving girl. They even had the gall to suggest I had influenced Lily because of her friend Emma's death. Then the judge asked Lily directly to take the stand. She walked up, spine straight, palms sweating, and swore to tell the truth. "Did anyone force you to get these tattoos?" the judge asked. Her voice came out steady. "No. They were my choice. They mean something to me. My mom she can't stand not being in control." You could hear a pin drop. Denise shot up so fast her chair screeched against the floor. She pointed at Lily, screaming. "She doesn't know what she wants. Look at her. She's ruined." Marked for life. The judge slammed his gavel. One more outburst and you'll be removed. Her lawyers scrambled, tugging her back into her seat, but she kept glaring at her own daughter like she betrayed her in the worst possible way. Stephen calmly walked the judge through our evidence. Consent forms. ID copies. Security footage with timestamps. Screenshots of Denise's Facebook posts calling me a predator. Derek's footage of her keying my car. Even audio recordings of her trying to bribe my landlord to evict me. Each piece stacked higher, like bricks building a wall she couldn't climb. Finally, the judge set the papers down and looked directly at Denise. His voice was ice. All charges against Mr. Cole are dismissed. The request for a restraining order is denied. In addition, this court grants Ms. Lily Cole's request for a restraining order against her mother, effective immediately. Further, based on the evidence of harassment, defamation, and false police reports, I am referring this case to the District Attorney's Office for criminal charges. The gavel came down like thunder. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Denise's face drained of color. Her knees buckled. And right there in front of everyone, she collapsed to the floor. The bailiff had to call for medical assistance as whispers swept the courtroom. Adam didn't move to help her. Neither did Lily. I just sat there, watching the same woman who'd tried to destroy me crumble under the weight of her own lies. A week later, Stephen called with the update. Denise had been formally charged with harassment, filing false police reports, and attempted extortion. She was out on bail, but barred from contacting me, Lily, or Adam. And for the first time in almost a year, I felt like I could breathe. Business at my shop slowly started coming back. In fact, some people booked tattoos just because they'd heard about the case and wanted to support me. Derek and I started collaborating on a skincare line for healing tattoos, and it actually started to take off. Adam filed for divorce and emergency custody of Tyler. I watched him walk into my shop one afternoon looking 10 years older but lighter somehow. He admitted he'd spent half his life enabling Denise's control, and he wasn't going to let her destroy their son too. As for Lily? She got her acceptance letter to art school. Her admissions essay was about her tattoos, about taking back control of her body after years of being silenced. She showed it to me, smiling nervously. There was one line that nearly broke me. My mother told me art was worthless. Now it's going to be my future. Months later, we stood in my mom's kitchen for Sunday dinner. For the first time in years, it was peaceful. Just me, Mom, Adam, Tyler, and Lily sitting around the table. Mom reached across and touched my hand. I was wrong, she said softly. I let Denise's voice drown out my own judgment. Your tattoos don't make you less. They make you, you. I swallowed hard, because I never thought I'd hear those words from her. Denise went on to serve 18 months in prison after violating her restraining order within a week of being released. She couldn't help herself, she drove past my shop for times, taking pictures, even making hand gestures at the windows. The footage sealed her fate. By then, though, nobody cared what she had to say. Her church cut ties. Her old friends vanished. Her reputation was ashes. Meanwhile, Lily thrived. She hosted her first gallery show in Denver, and the centerpiece was a massive painting of her tattoos, titled, "My Body, My Canvas, My Choice." It sold within an hour. I still keep her first tattoo, the heart for Emma, touched up and bold. She says it reminds her every day that love means supporting someone's choices, not controlling them. And me? Every time I ink a new tattoo, I think about the war Denise waged. How one Facebook post almost destroyed me. How close she came to shattering Lily's life. But in the end, all she really did was show us what family isn't. Because real family doesn't slam doors in your face. Real family doesn't call you a predator for supporting someone's choices. Real family stands beside you, even when the whole world is screaming lies.